The mystery lies right before our eyes, hidden in the shadows of the universe, waiting to be discovered. From whispered stories and top-secret files to witnesses who claim to have seen the impossible, there is a truth that humanity has yet to fully grasp. Today, we embark on a journey beyond the limits of perception, where science fiction and reality seem to merge into one. A strange adventure, a moment that reshapes the fate of the galaxy, and a sacrifice no one could have foreseen. Are you ready to step into the untold? 1. The Wanderer's Bar. The Vagabond Bar is a relic from an older era, hidden beneath the shadow of a dying red star. Its walls, tarnished by time and neglect, flicker faintly with the dim glow of bioluminescent fibers embedded in the ceiling. The air is thick with the spice of alien herbs, unwashed metal, and something faintly electric like ozone after a storm. Dozens of species sit in clusters, their hushed conversations blending into a symphony of languages, some organic, some mechanical. Holographic waiters glide between tables, their synthetic limbs skillfully balancing drinks that shimmer in colors unknown to Earth. In a darkened corner, an old man sits, his beard the color of interstellar dust. His eyes, though dulled by age, still gleam with a mischievous spark, as if they have gazed upon the universe's edge and lived to tell the tale. He leans forward, motioning toward the bartender, a burly Zoran whose four muscular arms move in perfect synchronization as he absent-mindedly polishes glasses. Older adult old man, hoarse yet compelling voice. Care for a story? Mechanical arm Zoran bartender, grumbles, barely looking up. Humph. It better be worth my time. The old man lets out a dry chuckle, like the rustling of parchment. He takes a slow sip of his drink, the deep indigo liquid casting a faint glow, then sets it down with a soft clink on the aged metal table. Older adult old man, eyes glinting. Oh, trust me, it will be. A hush falls over the corner of the bar, as if even the walls are leaning in to listen. Arrival at Aodi. The vast expanse of space shimmered as a transport ship descended toward the sprawling city of Aodi. Below, the planet stretched out in an endless sea of metallic spires, glimmering under the twin suns that hung suspended in a sky thick with mist. The buildings seemed to defy gravity, floating midair with the aid of repulsion fields, their surfaces shifting in response to the data streams coursing through the city's neural network. Massive floating highways wove between the monolithic structures, while sleek hovercrafts darted through the neon-soaked atmosphere like schools of luminescent fish. Towering holographic billboards cast shifting shadows, displaying alien hieroglyphics that morphed between languages, advertising everything from intergalactic trade deals to the latest advancements in neural technology. Inside the ship, Larry steadied himself as artificial gravity stabilized once more. The seat beneath him was still warm from its previous occupant, and the stale scent of recycled oxygen filled his lungs. A small bag containing everything he owned rested by his feet. The hatch hissed open, and a rush of dense, humid air flooded his senses. The planet's atmosphere carried a faint metallic tang, reminiscent of the inside of an old coin. As he stepped onto the landing platform, the ground beneath him trembled ever so slightly, alive with an embedded neural network that connected every movement to the city's central intelligence. The platform was teeming with travelers of all shapes and sizes. The market. The central marketplace of Aodi was like a living organism, pulsing, restless, ever-shifting. The air was thick with the aroma of exotic foods from across the stars, mingling with the scent of hot metal from scattered mechanical workshops. Beneath Larry's feet, the pavement wasn't stone or concrete but a layer of biomaterial that flexed ever so slightly, as if breathing in sync with the city's rhythm. Hovering drones floated lazily in the air, adjusting their flight paths to accommodate the bustling crowd. Beings from 100 different worlds crowded the pathways. The Gore tribe, their bark-like skin tough and cracked like ancient wood. The Blix, their luminous eyes glimmering like distant stars. The Ulnari, small creatures with arms longer than their bodies, weaving effortlessly through the crowd. Then, a sudden shout pierced the air. Shopping cart vendor, angrily, waving all 6 arms. Thief! Give that back! A small figure darted through the marketplace. A furry creature, a cack, no taller than a child, its wide, frightened eyes darting around in panic. In its tiny hands, it clutched a glowing fruit radiating a soft pink light, as if a miniature galaxy swirled within it. Larry didn't think, he just reacted. He sprinted after the creature, dodging merchants and shoppers alike, his feet pressing against the bio-surface, which seemed to give him an almost unnatural lightness with every step. The cack zigzagged left, leaping onto a floating cargo platform. Larry was just a breath away from grabbing it. Hold it! A deep, calm voice cut through the chase. A tall alien stepped out from the shadows, as if emerging from nothingness. His metallic skin shimmered like it was woven from countless microscopic glass shards, reflecting every color around him. His piercing silver eyes exuded intelligence and experience. Bust-in silhouette Larry, breathing hard, frowning. Move aside. It stole that. Sparkles slick, smiling, serene. Did you ever ask why? Larry hesitated. Slick took a gentle step forward, kneeling to meet the small creature's eyes. The cat trembled, clutching the glowing fruit tightly, its round eyes shimmering with fear. Sparkles Slick, softly. Tell me, why did you take it? The cat glanced around, terrified of being punished, then whispered. Teddy bear cat, trembling, voice barely a whisper. He took it from me first. Slick turned his gaze toward the vendor. His expression remained calm, but his eyes were cold. Sparkles Slick, gently, yet sharp. Is that true? The vendor hesitated, his many eyes darting away from Slick's piercing gaze. A long pause, then, suddenly, he exploded in anger. Shopping cart vendor, grumbling, defensive. It's a customer. It was supposed to pay first. But the crowd had already turned against him. Whispers of past scams and injustices spread like wildfire. Under the growing pressure, the vendor begrudgingly returned the credits he had taken from the CAC and stormed away. Larry watched the scene unfold in shock. He had never seen someone resolve a situation without violence, using only words and presence. Slick turned back to Larry, extending a hand with a small smirk. Sparkles Slick, nodding. Not bad, Earthling. Most of your kind would have shot first and asked questions later. Larry, still a little stunned, finally shook his hand. Bust in silhouette Larry, awkward, but amused. Thanks. Sparkles Slick, grinning. I'm Zor. But just call me Slick. And from that day forward, Slick became Larry's guide to AOD. Promotion. 1 month later. Larry's reputation had grown. He was no longer just another outsider, he had earned respect in the city's security force not just for his strength, but for his ability to resolve conflicts in ways that transcended brute force. But peace never lasted long in AOD. One day, he was summoned to the office of Commander Blur, a being whose flexible body constantly shifted, and whose luminous eyes talks never stayed still. Larry stood at attention, unsure of what to expect. I Captain Blur, flatly, eyes spinning. Your performance is acceptable. Bust in silhouette Larry, awkwardly. Thanks. Blur's appendages curled inward in a motion that resembled deep thought, then suddenly slammed onto the desk. I Captain Blur, neutral, but firm. Promotion. You are now Captain of City Security. Silence. Bust in silhouette Larry, mouth slightly open. What? I'm still new. Blur exhaled slowly, a motion that suggested annoyance. I Captain Blur, calm, but weary. The last 3 captains were eaten. You are the only one left. Larry felt a chill crawl down his spine. Bust in silhouette Larry, swallowing hard, voice small. Eaten. I Captain Blur, sighing, dismissive wave. Do not test my patience. Now get out, Captain. Still stunned, Larry stepped out of the office, his mind reeling. Just this morning, he had been a low-ranking guard, and now he was in charge of security for one of the most dangerous cities in the galaxy. Outside, Slick leaned casually against the wall, arms crossed, watching him with mild amusement. Sparkles Slick, smirking. Welcome to the real AOD, Captain. Amy arrives. The sky beyond the city trembled as an unidentified ship descended into the wastelands, an area untouched by any active transportation routes. From a distance, Larry watched as waves of heat radiated from its engines, scorching the ground and leaving behind charred fissures. There were no identification signals. This ship didn't belong to any registered species on AOD. He instinctively gripped the weapon holstered at his side and sprinted toward the landing site, his mind racing through possibilities: refugees, escapees, fugitives. But instead, she appeared. The ship's metallic hatch slid open slowly, releasing a dim, otherworldly glow, as if the interior existed in a realm apart from this one. From the darkness, a tall female figure emerged. Her skin, a soft lilac hue, shimmered as though woven from the light of distant stars. Each step she took was effortless, like a ripple through time itself, graceful, precise, without the slightest wasted motion. Her eyes glowed not with physical light, but with wisdom, knowledge, and something deeper, a secret yet to be deciphered. Larry froze, his breath catching in his throat for a moment. Adult Rocket Larry, dry voice, raising his gun but not pulling the trigger. Stop. Identify yourself immediately. The alien woman tilted her head slightly, a mysterious smile playing on her lips. The crisis. The sky over AOD shuddered. At first, it was just a faint crackling sound, like the atmosphere itself being stretched to its limit. But then a swirling rift appeared right above Amy's ship, releasing irregular bursts of light that flickered unnaturally, as if reality itself was glitching. Everything nearby wavered. Buildings trembled as if being dragged toward the vortex's core. The ground warped not physically, but in a temporal distortion, stretching and folding as if past, present, and future were colliding at once. From within the rift, figures emerged. No 2 creatures looked the same. Some resembled ancient warriors, clad in rusted armor, their eyes burning with forgotten purpose, displaced from time. Others were twisted abominations, fragmented across multiple timelines, their bodies breaking and reforming like shattered reflections of different realities. Larry staggered back, his heart pounding. Adult Rocket Larry, his voice tight, eyes locked on the advancing anomalies. What the hell is this? Amy remained composed, but her gaze turned sharp. Alien Amy, her voice cold, like a silver blade cutting through the dark. A temporal rift. If we don't stop it, it will consume this entire region. Larry turned, gun raised. But something in his instincts told him these beings could not be dealt with by conventional weapons. No time left to think. He forced himself to suppress the rising fear. For the first time in his life, Larry understood. There were forces beyond human control. But there were also moments where one choice, one decision, could change everything. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. Adult Rocket Larry, determined, no longer hesitating. Tell me, what do we do? Amy studied him for a moment, then nodded. A glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes. Alien Amy, calm but commanding. Take this. She opened her palm, revealing a small, glowing device, a cube radiating a soft violet light, with ancient symbols dancing across its surface. Alien Amy, serious, handing it to Larry. This is a temporal stabilizer. It can help us close the rift, but only if we are completely in sync with it. Larry stared at the cube, feeling an unexplainable pull, as if something deep within him was responding to its presence. There was no other choice. He nodded, gripping the device tightly, preparing for the unimaginable. Around them, the time-warped creatures advanced, reality distorting as the vortex above screamed like a ravenous beast. Time was running out, and the real battle was only beginning. The final sacrifice. The temporal storm in the sky roared like a living, ravenous beast. The space around it twisted and compressed, bending light into colors beyond any spectrum Larry had ever seen. The distorted beings ripped from different timelines hovered in the air, drawn inexorably into the vortex. At the storm's center, the glowing artifact pulsed, sending out erratic waves of energy, as if calling out to someone. Larry and Amy stood before it, their breaths merging with the swirling winds. Amy gently placed her hand on the artifact's surface. Instantly, it responded, ancient runes illuminated across its crystalline form, silver light piercing through the heart of the time storm. She turned to Larry, her gaze carrying a deep, unspeakable sorrow. Alien Amy, soft voice, yet filled with absolute certainty. To stabilize this rift, someone has to step inside. Larry's heart pounded. His breath hitched in his throat. Adult Rocket Larry, desperate, eyes widening. No. There has to be another way. He gripped her wrist, his eyes pleading. But Amy only smiled. That kind of smile one gives when they have already accepted their fate. Alien Amy, gently touching Larry's face, her voice as soft as the whispers of distant stars. You have a gift, Larry. A destiny greater than you can imagine. But this is my duty. She held his gaze for a long, lingering moment, as if trying to etch his face into her memory forever. Then, before he could react, she leaned in and pressed a kiss against his lips. A fleeting moment. A kiss that held 1,000 unspoken words. And then, she turned away. Larry reached for her, but the storm had already begun pulling her in. He could only watch as her shimmering form dissolved into the blinding white light, before the entire space around them collapsed in an explosion of surreal energy. The time vortex shrank, folding inward, and then, with one final flash of lightning, it was gone. Everything fell silent. Larry staggered backward, the heat from the storm still lingering in the air. He looked down at his hands. The artifact had transformed into a lifeless gray crystal, its light completely faded. Amy was gone. The Guardian's fate. There was no place to rest. Larry stood alone beneath the sky, still tinged with the fading echoes of the temporal storm. The city of AOD slowly recovered, but in his mind, everything felt different. The world had moved forward, but a part of him remained behind. The ending. And so, a story of endless possibilities, of mysteries beyond the grasp of science, and of decisions that shape the fate of the universe. But this was merely one small fragment of the greater unknown. What do you think of this story? Do you believe that, somewhere in the vast reaches of the galaxy, something, or someone is watching us? Has the universe evolved so far beyond us that we are nothing more than grains of sand in an infinite sea? Leave a comment below, we want to hear your thoughts. And if you wish to continue this journey, exploring the unanswered, uncovering the hidden truths, subscribe. Because out there, beyond the stars, countless stories await. Do you have the courage to step forward?